You don't blow your accounts because of your strategy. You're blowing your account because you don't trust yourself. And until you fix that, you're always going to continue blowing your accounts. So in this video, I'm going to talk about these triggers and how to avoid them. So make sure you watch this through to the end. So the first thing that you have to understand is that your brain is not designed for trading. Your brain is designed for survival. Okay? So your brain wants certainty. It wants everything now. Okay? That is how it survives. It cannot rely on waiting for something later. Okay? It needs to know that it can get what it wants now. That's how the brain survives. That's how it helps you survive as a person. But then trading is different because in trading, there is no certainty. It's uncertain, okay? And you're required to sit and wait. Do you understand the difference? So now you have to wait for your setup, okay? So you cannot have it now, but your brain wants it now, and your brain wants certainty. So this is a huge opposite polar of what your brain is and what trading is, okay? And then once you take the setup, you're required to sit and wait for the trade to finish out in uncertainty and discomfort. Do you understand? And then that means that the brain it's now in panic mode. It's trying to survive, and it cannot survive when it's in this state. So naturally, your brain isn't designed for trading. So that is the first thing that you need to understand, okay? The second point is that your brain is running on your childhood programming. You don't fail because of charts or technical analysis or fundamental analysis, whatever analysis. It's because your brain has this childlike programming from birth, okay? And you have to rewire and reprogram that so that it can work for you. So let me give you an example, okay? If you grew up in lack, like money was always tight around the house and your parents were arguing about money, then that is going to rub itself off onto you, and you're going to have lack in your subconscious programming, and that lack is going to make you greedy in the market because you feel like there's no more opportunities, so you have to double up or take this next worst case, this next bad trade. Does that make sense? So that's one example. Or like another example could be feeling not enough, like unworthy, okay? Like you don't feel appreciated or you weren't loved, so you're not feeling worthy, okay? And what that's going to cause you to do is that you don't feel like you deserve profits. You don't feel like you deserve money. So then when you go into profit, you give it all back. You can't hold on to a winning week. You somehow find a way to subconsciously keep trading and take bad trades just to give it back and more, because the mind is comfortable in chaos, okay? And so it cannot hold on to money. And then here's another example. Imagine that when you were a child, and you were punished at school for making a mistake. So you didn't pass the exam, so then you weren't allowed to go out and play, you were in trouble, or your parents would beat you, or whatever the issue was, right? But because of that, you now have this childhood programming which makes you feel like you're scared of making mistakes. So then what that makes you do in trading is that when you take a trade, now you go into profits, but you cannot let your profits run. You can never hit TP because you can't hold a trade. You don't know how to hold your trades. And that is a big problem because you are so scared of being wrong that once you go into a little bit of profit, you close the trade and take that money and run. And then you end up giving it back anyways. So this is how childhood programming will destroy your trading. It will affect your trading, and you have to fix it. Otherwise, no strategy is going to work. You're just going to have these negative emotional triggers and you don't know why. Okay, it's a nervous system reaction. Okay, it's a negative loop. So here's the third one. You confuse emotion with intuition. So what happens is you actually think that you're following your intuition, like your gut, but the reality is that you're not. You're actually reacting to the market out of fear, anxiety, or revenge, or greed, or something like that. One of those emotions. So those emotions is what makes you make the decision, not your intuition. Okay? So for example, you are fearful that the market, you're in a trade and you think that the market is going to reverse on you, so then you close. But then it was just a pullback. It's just the way it moves. Or you took a loss and you felt like you need to make it back quickly. Okay, so you got this revenge emotion. Okay, or you jumped into a trade early and the setup wasn't even ready because you thought you had a gut feeling about this next trade. You started gambling and then you start missing your checklist and skipping over your confirmations and you get in on the wrong trade. But actually, you're anxious. It's anxiety that is making you react and behave this way. So you have to understand these negative loops, these negative emotions, and you have to clear them. You see, emotions lie, okay? The only thing that's going to help you is true intuition, your real intuition, right? And you only get that from having hours, chart time, back testing, okay? And developing pattern recognition for your single strategy. Once you can know your strategy, you've seen it play out 1,000 times, 100 times, whatever, you just have a knowingness. You're not acting out of emotion. You'll just know when to stay out of a trade automatically. Like something feels off, okay? So you won't get into a trade and then you don't take bad trades. You just have to have this intuition, okay? That is what you need. So now the fourth reason why you don't trust yourself is because you're addicted to dopamine, okay? And what happens is you are addicted to the thrill of trading. That's why you overtrade. You are addicted to getting into a setup because you have a dopamine hit when you take a trade. When you click the button, buy or sell, there is a chemical reaction being released in your brain, okay? And it's like a dopamine hit. Then there's like obsession with charts. So you keep looking at your charts every 5 minutes. You check. You're glued to the computer screen. You can't let it go. You cannot detach, okay? Because you enjoy looking at the charts. For some reason, when you have the chart open, okay, you think you're working, but you're not. Does that make sense? You're actually working when you're not looking at the charts, when you're waiting, okay? And you only go and open the chart and execute when it's ready. Does that make sense? So when price comes to you, then you take the trade. You don't chase. You don't go and chase price. And then obviously you also like the rush, the thrill, the adrenaline rush of being in a trade because it makes you feel like a trader. You feel like you got a bet going on or something's happening. You're doing work. You see, so these addictions, these dopamine addictions, right, is basically going to destroy your trade. It's not, you're not acting, you're not thinking logically, you're thinking out of dopamine. It's like someone being addicted to Coca-Cola or junk food, like a fat person that can't stop eating cookies. They don't know why, and it just destroys their life. It's the same with your trading. So if you don't know why you're constantly looking at your charts, checking your phone, checking trading view, jumping in and out of trades, if you don't know why, then you're never going to succeed. It doesn't matter what the strategy is. It doesn't matter how good the strategy is. You see what I mean? And so this is a big one. Okay, you need to clear this out. You need to overcome this. Otherwise, you cannot trust yourself in front of a chart. You see, you have to understand that there's a difference between discipline and dopamine. Dopamine rewards the brain now, instantly. It's instant gratification. Discipline is later. The reward comes later. It's like a delayed gratification. And unfortunately, you're not taught this at school. You're not taught to sit and delay gratifications. That's why people cannot hold their crypto bags, because they sell too early, because there's a dip or there's something, you see? And you need to have delayed gratification, okay? You need to practice this. Once you can master delayed gratification in trading, then you can sit and wait for a setup all week or 2 days or 3 days, however long it needs to take for price to come to your level, and then you take the trade. It's a skill, and it's not just saying I'm going to wait for that setup. Like, you have to understand that it's delayed gratification, that you have to understand that you are depriving your brain of dopamine. You can't trust yourself because your brain is basically chasing dopamine. It's not chasing profits, okay? It just wants dopamine. It doesn't care if you make money or lose money. Simple as that. It's like eating bad foods, eating junk food, eating processed foods. It doesn't care. It just wants the taste. It wants that instant gratification, that taste now, and it doesn't matter the consequences. It doesn't matter if it kills you. Who cares? We'll worry about that later. It's the same with trading. Okay, so you need to understand this. Number 5 is that you basically keep changing strategies all the time. And then because you do that, you have nothing to trust. You can't trust anything because you haven't developed enough reps in the strategy, so you don't trust it. So basically, every week you have a new strategy. Every time you lose, you tweak something, you change something, you add an indicator, you add more confluences, and then only to be confused. Okay, so this is huge because this is the failure loop. You can go on this loop forever, okay, if you don't understand this. And basically, you don't even trust yourself to stick to one strategy, let alone trust your own strategy, because your ego is always working in the background. It's trying to fix the strategy, change the strategy, instead of just fixing yourself. So you don't hang around long enough for one strategy to develop the intuition, to develop the feel for that strategy, to know it like the back of your hand. You have to just know one strategy, one A+ setup, and know it like the back of your hand. Like, you need to be able to spell your strategy backwards, like you could spell your name backwards. That's the mastery, the level of mastery that you have to be at if you want to win at this game, okay? And knowing that a loss is just part of the odds. It's not a big deal. There's no need to go and tweak anything, okay? So you need to backtest a strategy for at least 100 hours. I said this in many videos, and that is the only way you're going to get good at your strategy, okay? So you need to master your emotions, and then you need to backtest. And if you can backtest, then you build the pattern recognition. You have to backtest and build your system, and then you have to learn to trust your system, because if you don't trust or know your system or your process, then you're not going to trust yourself. Number 6 is the reason you haven't really changed your identity is because you're still trading from your old version of yourself. Okay, I've been talking about identity a lot, changing your perception of yourself, psycho-cybernetics, right? Your old identity is, oh, trading so hard, I always lose, blah, 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 blah. That kind of stuff is going to keep attracting. You see, you get what you are, okay? You manifest what you become, your identity. So it's not so much as bringing something in, it comes to you, it is attracted to you. Does that make sense? So if your identity is such, then that is your reality that you're going to get. And here's the beautiful part that you don't know. You have infinite realities or infinite possibilities of identities that you can jump into and then pull into your reality. That's how you do it. It's called quantum physics, okay? But that is a different subject. So what you're doing subconsciously without knowing is that your identity is a negative identity. It's working against you. It's making you impulsive. It's making you act like a gambler. You don't see yourself as a professional trader. You see, you can't stick to your words. You don't do what you say you're going to do, so you don't trust yourself. And then when you don't trust yourself, There's a conflict internally with your identity because you don't do what you say you're not going to do. You don't trust yourself. Simple as that. Okay. So identity is absolutely everything. I made a huge video about this the other day. Okay. And you have to become this person. Take a piece of paper, write down what you think a professional funded trader thinks and feels on a daily basis, all through the day. They have a different vibration, they have a different frequency. They're not operating out of lack. They don't feel lack, they don't feel confusion. They're clear. Everything is clear and crystal. Do you understand? So, identity is a big one. You have to kill your old identity and become this new character or this new trader, okay? And live it from today. Live it, and then once you do that, things come. The skill comes, the confidence comes. You understand? The patience comes. You become the sniper. That's why I always refer to a warrior or a sniper, because those types of identities are very precise. They're very calculated. It's a mastery. You see, like a warrior trains his whole life. A sniper trains for his entire life to be a sniper, and that's it. Do you understand? And to become a professional trader, you got to train for your whole life. It's also like a basketball player, a professional basketball player. Michael Jordan, his identity is to practice shooting hoops every day. It doesn't matter how good he is. Okay? I tell you, wake up and backtest every day. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad, just do it. Because then if you can keep your word and do it, you build the self-esteem, you trust yourself. You know you benefit by knowing your strategy, seeing it again, getting the reps in, and you're only going to get better. So you need to do this. You have to have a proper trading identity. And what is that? They know what they're doing. They get up, they backtest, they're calm, they're collected, they're confident, they're clear, they're not stressing out. Because at the end of the day, you execute from who you are, not what you know. This is a big distinction. It's from who you are, okay? So think about this over the holidays, over the next week or so, and take that seriously. You see, your identity creates your habits create your actions, and then your actions create your results. That is the sequence. But then most people want to just have results first, and then they're going to act according to the results, and then that's going to determine their habits, and then from that, it's going to try to determine their identity. So they're going backwards. So if they have a winning trade, then they have a result, and then now they're all happy, and then they think they're a trader. And then if they take a loss, okay, they're all sad, and now they think they're a bad trader because they have their identity attached to a result. They're getting their identity from the result. That's not how you do it. You have the identity first, and then the results follow. All of this, you cannot fix this from just learning more strategy, watching more trading videos on technical analysis or indicators or some secret system. You can't do it that way, okay? That's not how you're going to fix it. You fix it by becoming a better version of yourself, the best version of yourself. And that version of yourself is someone that is calm, patient, precise. They know exactly what to do. They keep their words to themselves. They're disciplined. That is how you fix this, not more strategies, okay? This is the self-mastery that you have to embody as a trader. If you want to start trusting yourself, you're going to have to become a calm person. You're going to have to develop patience, discipline, emotional intelligence. You're going to have to learn to detach. These are the traits that you need to develop as a trader. Otherwise, you're just gambling. You're just going to be a chaotic mess. Once you change, everything in your trading changes automatically. So if this message hit you and you finally feel like strategy wasn't the issue that you're struggling with, but it's actually internal, then this is why I created the Inner Edge Pro, my course for trading psychology and emotional regulation. It's the first link in the description if that's what you want to do. If you want to work on yourself, you want to level up, then this is your chance. Go ahead and check it out. If you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment, drop a comment below and let me know what you're struggling with, where you're from and what you're doing, how your day is going. But other than that, until the next video, you're on your own. Take care now. Goodbye.